on how our professional development programs impact career enhancement. Now, my name is Jill Felicio, and I'm the Director of Advancement here, as well as a Harvard alum and past participant of the Marketing Strategy Professional Development Program. Now, I have just a couple of housekeeping notes as we get underway. And today's presentation is being recorded and will be sent to all registrants in a few days. So feel free to use our chat box to ask any of your general questions, as my colleagues, Whitney and Eric, are going to provide answers and share helpful links throughout today's program. Now, place any questions that you wish to pose specifically to our panelists in the Q&A box, and we have set aside time later in the program to address them. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce today's panelists. Stacie Calder is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Conquest Planning and is joining us today from Kelowna, British Columbia. Stacie participated in Building Organizational Cultures, a framework for leaders held here on Harvard's campus. Swapnil Deshpande, Chief Digital Officer at Thoughtworks, is joining us from Pune, India. Swapnil participated in our virtual programs, Innovation and Strategy, Advanced Business Strategy, Gaining a Competitive Advantage, and Leading Through Digital Disruption. So welcome, Stacie and Swapnil, and thank you in advance for sharing your insights into your professional development experience. Now, Stacie, if you would like to get us started, can you tell us a bit about your program?
Sure. Thanks, Jill. Really a pleasure to be here with you today. Was very excited to be contacted and have the opportunity to discuss that program and the impact it's had both on my personal and professional life. So I took the Building Organizational Cultures, as you talked about earlier, and it was actually back in 2019, the end of 2019. And I consider myself very lucky at the time because I was able to do that course live on campus, coming from the West Coast and flying into Boston and area was a little bit of work for me to accommodate, but was able to do that before the pandemic hit. So it was a very special time for me to reflect back on. The course was incredible. It has had many impacts on my career, both in the personal front and the professional front. But one of the highlights I would say that it brought to me was the ability to broaden my perspective across a variety of different cultural perspectives and backgrounds from business. I work in finance, and the bringing together of a bunch of different minds from around the globe for a very short, intense period of time, and the type of brainstorming and interaction that we were able to have, it was really interesting to me to be able to broaden my perspective on cultural development within the organization.
Thank you, Swapnil. Go for it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for inviting me to be participating here and speaking to the potential participants of the program. From my perspective, I think we were just discussing a minute ago. The pandemic had kind of turned a little positive for me because I am based in India. As the pandemic sort of spread across the world, everything started to become virtual and started to be available to be everybody across the world. And what better time for me to look for the courses across the world and find what best works for me. From my perspective, I think I have been pretty passionate, I would say, from learning. So I didn't want to really leave any opportunity to learn from the best. So I started searching for the areas that I was passionate about were business strategy, innovation, leadership, generally. So I was like, hey, I want to learn something in this. I was also sort of hitting a place in my career where I wanted to say, hey, what my next direction, what my next, let's say phase of my career should look like. So I think it came at a really opportune moment where the world started to get into virtual, the opportunities started to open up for me sitting in India. And, the courses that I looked for, which was innovation strategy, advanced business strategy, and leading through disruption were fitting right into my areas where I wanted to develop. So, it took me like 30 seconds to decide to enroll these programs, and that's what exactly I did. And the experience has been fantastic. There are a lot of takeaways I still apply. I did my program early 2022, 3 of them back to back, finished the last one sometime I think in October 2020. So I started in 2020. I think around June or so, probably finished around October, 3 programs back to back. And experience was really, really amazing, amazing reason because there was so much learning, uh, I had about 20 years of experience before joining this program. So I felt like, hey, I know a lot of things, and when I was in the class, I probably knew least. And I'm like, hey, there's so much more to be learned. And it was like a thirsty person sitting around an ocean, just trying to drink as much, you could. And that's exactly what I did, and fantastic experience. I can go on and on, but I would rather respect time and sort of stop here.
I really love that analogy. It's beautiful. I mean, you talk about making good time in the pandemic. I wonder for you, Stacie, you spoke about the cultural background, desire to learn about various cultures. Did you find Harvard specifically with that motivation in mind, or were you looking for something else in your programs?
I will be totally transparent. It was my dream to go to Harvard and actually get my degree and my master's, and living on the West Coast and the time away and the price tag of it. It was something. I got my master's elsewhere. And then, the professional development programs enabled me to sort of access that level of education. But coming into it, I would say there was a little bit of intimidation just because the brand Harvard, right? Like, the smartest people on the planet go to Harvard. And Swapnil, your humility of your comment about, I wasn't the smartest person in the room, but I was able to learn. What I found actually was I felt the same, that probably everybody else in the room was, substantially smarter than I was. But there was sort of this common ground of humility that people were really there to learn and contribute with their background and experience. And so the reason I chose the culture course specifically was actually on the tail of just watching the programs as they come up. And at that point in the career I was in at the time, and the business unit that I was leading, we were having some challenges culturally. So we were having some engagement opportunities, I would say. And so this was a great course content for me to leverage to be able to bring those learnings back into our organization and see how we could deeper engage our employee base. And it was really an effective timing and fortuitous in terms of the opportunity to come and take the course. Yeah.
Wow. Would you say also fortuitous because of what the world has endured since you took that course? I can just imagine with the cultural shifts and implications, regardless of where you are in the world, that background must be helpful. Do you care to say anything about that? It's fascinating time to have that background.
Absolutely. Listen, I think, Jill, one of the most powerful things on the planet is human connection and how we connect as people. And the pandemic has done things like this. Like, here we are in a panel. We had Zoom and we had webinars before, but people often left their cameras off and they were nervous to get on. And so now it's opened up this world of opportunity. Here's Swapnil in India, and I'm on the West Coast in North America, and you're on the East Coast in North America. And there's people probably from all over the world attending this session here today. But it's made the world smaller. So I think from a cultural and acceptance and, that human connection and bringing people together in meaningful ways, the course content of the one that I took specifically, it wasn't just application in my work life. The facets that I learned in that course and the framework for implementation are things that I've also leveraged while parenting my children, while building friendships and community in the neighborhood that I live in. So there has been definitely some impact from the pandemic side of things and application of the content.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And, Swapnil, I think reimagining was sort of a theme that we saw here at DCE, where, we enable that imagining and reimagining and retooling and reskilling, and, anything's possible here. And I think that, again, you did a really brilliant job of that. Can you speak to any relevant skills that were gained in terms of your current role or your future desires in terms of career advancement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of words that come to my mind when I think about it is discover and rediscover my own purpose. Like I mentioned, getting into the programs, my only thing was, hey, I just want to know how much I know. And if I don't know, it's a good opportunity to learn. Right? But I never thought the programs that I did, and I'll talk about in a sequence. Like at first I did innovation and strategic program. Before my current role, I also had played a role of head of innovation in my organization and built some of the very exciting products. Ran innovation workshops, and I thought, I probably know a lot about how innovation is done in the organization, but absolutely happy to be proven wrong. Got into the program. It was a 4 day of pretty intense discussion. Again, there are positives of being in a virtual program and negatives as well. Because sometimes, you just have to shorten some of this conversation. They need to be focused, respecting everybody's time. But whole, my understanding about how innovation can be propagated within the organization, and how you can really apply a lens of entrepreneurship, which you do with startup as an entrepreneur, in the organization job I do was a fantastic, takeaway for me. So some of these things like, hey, like, can I look at my own team, my own organization through the lens of a startup? Can I really drive a vision for my company, or can I drive a vision for my team? Can I really understand, what the profit and loss really means from the perspective of my team that I drive, even though, maybe I'm not responsible yet for the overall organization's P&L, let's say from that perspective, those perspectives that opened up in my thinking, were really useful in my job to come back and say, hey, let me just think for a moment, like how I can apply the learnings I have had in the class in the job I do, right? Over a period of time, of course, my role also changed. I moved from managing the digital platform side of things to become the chief digital officer of the organization, and focus more on transformation. And in my current job, it's more like twofold job. Let's say a part of my job is working with the larger organization and drive innovative thinking through the work that we do. And second is, of course, being part of the CIO organization actually drive the digital transformation for the company, right? And in both areas of my job, I was actually able to practically take away the lessons I have learned, and there are a few examples. Hopefully, I'll cover over a period of next 20 minutes or so. Able to apply, and more important, like I said, I rediscovered my purpose, which is to, hey, I'm here, to run, let's say, the digital transformation for my company, and I'm sticking to that till date, which is fantastic. I'm still in my job, which is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all the success you've had as a result of this. But generally, I think I just want to say, getting back to your point on, and Stacie, your point on being kind of overwhelmed by Harvard, I think, really what Harvard does, I think, is elevates the inspiration and the idea of finding that purpose. And I think, again, like that perspectives is something that's really important as a takeaway. And I know I took a course as well in marketing strategy, and getting perspectives from participants throughout the world was very, very valuable. And what I took to have a meaning of marketing, say, is not necessarily what someone from another country uses as an approach. We have different frameworks, we have different models, different influences. And that's, I think, what is a brilliant blend of our participants in the program area. Now, Swapnil, you named some really poignant takeaways from your classes. I wonder, Stacie, are there any kind of key lessons and takeaways that you took that you directly apply? I mean, I would think adaptability is one of them. But generally, do you want to say a little bit more about the course material?
Yeah, so good, not great leadership was one of the big facets that I took away. And to me, it speaks to your humanity as a leader. And I used it so when I took the course, I was a junior executive at a large multinational corporation. So big company, well-established, one of the oldest insurance companies in North America, and have been around for a long time. So that corporate structure is, very set up and established. And so there's lots of kind of triggers you can pull on from an engagement standpoint with that good, everybody is deserving of good, but not, that the leadership pieces, good, not great leaders not perfect, sorry, not great. I'm having the wrong word. It's not perfect because no leader is perfect. It's sharing that humanity. And so I was able to take it in that environment and apply it and really just talk to me about actually connecting with people and showing your vulnerabilities as a leader, because often our leaders, in especially these big structures, sometimes we look to our leaders and think they know everything, and we forget that they're human too. And so the same when we're in a leadership role, that showing that humanity and connecting with your team is a really great way to deepen engagement and deepen commitment and loyalty to not only yourself and your team, but the organization overall. And then moved into a fintech. I completely switched gears, moved into a fintech. So I lead sales and marketing for a fintech called Conquest Planning. So we're a financial planning software company based out of Canada, and early stage growth. I joined them kind of right at the beginning, and we've just had explosive growth over the last year and a half. And so that same great, not perfect leadership is applied in my current role in the way that I've been able to interact with executives across the firms that we are connecting with to actually provision our software into, as well as building a company that's growing very, very fast. And keeping that type of connectivity and that humility is how we connect with other people has been one of the specific facets that I took away from the course, for sure, from a content perspective.
That's fabulous. Yeah, congratulations. That's a big move. It's exciting. Yeah, keeping
change. Yeah.
How many options, right, that are just unlocked. Wonderful. Well, I know, I think when I think Harvard, it's just synonymous with the best faculty in the world. And I know, my experience in having earned a degree and have taken a professional development course was the faculty member is often, the heartbeat and the connector of that amazing session. So I wonder if you want to say a little bit about your instructor, about the methods, the connections made with that professor. And, Swapnil, we can start with you. You had a few.
I did. So again, I'll go program by program. So first of all, I think all the instructors and teachers I had, professors, very, very learned, like you mentioned, Jill. I think the depth that they carry is very visible through the conversation. It was not just about talking about what's written on the slide deck, but actually they have lived, the experiences themselves, and they were able to share insights through the work that they have done beyond, just the classroom. The depth that carry in the subject was very, very visible. So talking about someone like Phil Swisher, for example, he comes from a hedge fund, company background. He has lived and enterprise life. So talking about innovation that he has done in such a constrained environment where regulatory conditions, compliance is so super important. Now how he did some of the innovation work that carried was really good, in a way to kind of ask the question to yourself, and that, hey, if he could do in such a constrained environment, why you wouldn't do that in much, let's say, liberal environment that you operate into, right? So those some of the questions I think were really interesting, for me to take away. From the class perspective, I think everybody was very interactive, very open. Of course, you being in a virtual classroom, we always have constraints of time and how much you can, have sort of offline conversation or group conversation. But beyond that, I think, they were very inclusive. I must admit, they're very attentive to everybody. I kept wondering, almost like, you see almost this 40 tiny windows, on your screen, and how they can really teach at the same time, think about what questions might come up, and also have almost an observation of who is kind of coming along, who is still puzzled, and take the whole class along with them. I think that was fantastic of all of the teachers. I think I want to call out John Fye, he was one of the instructors from the Advanced Business Strategy program. I have huge respect for this person. I really do. The amount of experience he carried in professional world, and the way he was able to relate very, very complex, I would say, topics, because sometimes strategy itself can be complex. It is not as simple as just putting certain graphs and charts in a slide deck and done with it. You really deeply need to understand the vision, purpose, the why behind why, of your organization when you talk about strategy, and the way he was able to connect very complex topics of strategy, be it modeling, be it value articulation, so on and so forth, with real good examples, which is understandable, for somebody who is awake at like 3 a.m. in the morning in India, keeping awake with the help of coffee was really amazing, So I definitely, remember the connects. One thing I would have loved to happen more is if it was in-person interaction, you probably could have built better, let's say, relationships with those people. The, off the classroom coffee talks or corridor talks, they always help. So I am actually going to watch out for something I could do when I'm in US next time. Just be in the campus, say hello to people, and just establish that connect, because sometimes those connects actually take long way. And I remember, I have connected with John Pye a couple of times after the program as well, with some of my doubts, and he was very prompt responding, which was fantastic. I'm like, hey, does he even remember me? I was one of these like 20, 30 odd people, sometimes speaking, sometimes not, but he did remember, which was nice of him, really nice of him.
I'll maybe add on and just talk about my instructor. So the faculty member who led my course, his name is Lauren Rubis. And Jill, you said the faculty members are sometimes the heartbeat of these courses. And I get goosebumps actually thinking about the experience and how, gosh, what can I say about this man? He's just a tycoon. Here's an individual who has had this incredibly long, successful career, a very senior executive in C-suite positions across a variety of background and roles, most recently a chief people officer at one of the larger financial institutions here in Canada. And he creates this course and comes in, and I was fortunate to be in his first cohort. So I think he's on his 9th cohort right now. And we have absolutely stayed in touch. We have stayed connected as a group, as a cohort. There's probably 13 or 14 of us that still have a chat group on LinkedIn. So that in-person meeting, Swapnil, I was able to go on campus for those 2 short days, intensive, but the quality of the person leading the course is just unmatched. I think we underestimate how challenging it is to come into a situation with 20 or 30 different people from all different parts of the planet who are here for 2 days to learn, and you want everybody's participation and everybody to bring value to that, and also to have them digest their learning that's being kind of fired at them and take it away. And so the pace of the learning that was introduced, how it was introduced, the breakouts that we did, how we looked at real life case studies. We got together and did a project work. We mapped it out into journey mapping. We did a presentation back to the group. And at the end of the second day, we actually, I'll never forget this. We did a learning debrief, I would say, and he put us all in a circle, and Lauren's a very talented orator, and also his ability to just create that cultural engagement and bring these people together, but then also anchor the learning so that we could actually have something meaningful to take away with us. There were some people in tears at the end of that session because of the impact it had on their life. And there were moments in that room where it was completely silent. And there were moments in that room where everybody was laughing. And so we went through all of these levels of emotion in a very short period of time, and really have made connections for life in some circumstances. And not only the learning that I got from this Harvard course, but the relationships that I've taken and been able to acquire and stay in touch with, and then the business connections in different forays into different industries that I'd never thought about getting into has just been really incredible. It was really a strategic inflection point for me, and massive respect, and I admire Lauren so much for what he does and how he does it, and I can't recommend him enough. He's a fantastic human. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I feel like we are all standing on the shoulders of these giants in life after these programs. So again, you really hit a nerve with me in the emotion of the moment, finishing a program where you wouldn't think it should be a teary occasion, but I feel like the depth and the breadth of it is really overwhelming in the moment. So it's a really wonderful thing and actually a very bonding thing. So I'm glad to hear that you have these sustained connections. Sustaining connection is a really important part of what we do here at Harvard DCE. We have community engagement programming that's global, that meets in person, that provides career support, of which we extend to participants of all of our programs. So that's really, really important. But I think, you surmised just how special it is to learn from these very tactical, practical giants in their industry. So thank you for that. I know that none of this comes easily. It's something that you need to do on top of work and sometimes on top of family. So, Swapnil, you alluded to the 3 a.m. Coffee need. Can you talk a little bit about making time for this learning in your life?
I'll say one thing before I answer it. You really have to try and make the time. It won't come to you. If you are really passionate about learning and learning from the best, you have no choice but to make time for yourself. And that's exactly what I did. I don't think I kept an option. I didn't really look for convenience. I said, come what may, I just have to do it, because that's exactly what I wanted to learn. And like I said, rediscover myself. Having said that, again, good and bad things. Good thing was that my classes would be late evening and through night, which means I had an option of either working in the day or sleeping in the day and taking classes at night. But thankfully, I kind of managed to balance both. Some of my classes would start like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Would finish at like 3 a.m. or sometimes 5 a.m. A couple of classes were like starting at 9 and finishing at midnight. But at the same time, I think so that is honestly a biggest challenge I had in terms of time zone. I was able to also work. Thankfully, my work was shared between certain people when I was doing this classes, so people were able to support me through that. So I wasn't. I had warned my people that I might sound like a zombie in the daytime, and so please bear with me. If I'm like a zombie at work, and they did. They supported me a lot. So from that perspective, I think it was really helpful. But again, coming back to the point, I think you really need to know why you are doing these courses. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it, because then that will be, that will not count to anything. You will not take away anything. You wouldn't know what the subject is for. So really understand why you're doing it, be convinced. And if you're convinced, then go all out to learn, like, Stacie also mentioned, there's so much depth of knowledge and experience that you will, encounter. And then, if you're not on top of your learning game, you will soon regret, because again, some of these courses are online. Sometimes, you will build relationships, sometimes you may not, and it's a situational fact. Even with the best intent, sometimes it can be very difficult, right, to continue having conversations. So, use those hours which are given to you. If you're a coffee fan, please drink a lot of coffee, because that will help you stay awake. If you're a tea fan, probably stay away, because I'm told tea, puts you to sleep. I'm not a tea drinker, so I don't know, but I was told that. And be interactive. I think one of the things that really was something I was able to take away is asking a lot of questions, right? Even if you, in my mind, want to downplay a question, that hey, it might be a silly question, why should I ask? But please do ask, because sometimes through these like stupid sounding questions, you might encounter a lot of what I call light bulb moments, which might like, hey, you know what, I never thought of this perspective, and you might get that. So these are really important small things, I would think, one might consider when they are doing it. There will be challenges if you're on the other side of the world, but make your mind and just go and do it. Honestly, that's exactly what I did.
That's great. Now, Stacie, you made the journey to campus, so that in and of itself is a sacrifice. Was your family and your employer supportive throughout, or how was it?
Yeah, so I wouldn't call it a sacrifice. I would call it an investment, my time, and the investment has returned, great dividends beyond what I had imagined initially. So at the time I took the course, I had 3 children under the age of 7. I was married to a long haul, heavy, wide body aircraft pilot. So he flew, long haul overseas, and but fortunately had this great organizational support from the awesome company that I worked at the time. They were very supportive. I had a great team at Manulife who was supporting me, and they took care of, the day. I only needed a day off work because it was kind of a short thing. So 2 days off work, I guess, with travel. And the childcare was a bit of a timing thing that I needed to sort out. But I would add to what Swapnil said and say that it's just a matter of priorities, right? I am also very passionate about having that learner mindset. And this was something that was really important to me. And I have always, it was a bucket list thing for me to do something at Harvard. And so to be able to have that and get a certificate on my wall that, has Harvard Extension School on it, that's just a point of pride for me. And it was, small compared to the outcome that it gave to me. So, young family, busy work life, traveling, the cost associated with it, I had to pay for the flights and all of that, food and hotel and all the lodging, but to be on campus and to sort of just be immersed in that experience. I was one of those people, and I don't typically take a lot of selfies, but it was like every corner I was taking a selfie and buying the swag, and just so proud to be able to participate in that. So well worth the investment for sure.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I feel like, and to Swapnil's point, it's bottled time. So make every ounce of opportunity yours in making those connections. Now, this is kind of a trite question, but I think a fun one. Could you summarize your experience in only one word? Just curious.
Yes. Yeah, I would use the word transformational.
Yeah. And I would say the word impactful.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you both for sharing that. We have a very active chat, and I know my colleagues have been answering a lot of questions, and there were some very keen interest in takeaways. So if there's anything else that you would like to add, to your perspective on your courses or any toolkit framework related topics that you would wish to discuss, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things I just want to add if that helps. Throughout all the 3 courses I took, one thing I really liked was the focus on the practical aspects of how you actually can go back to your job and implement what is being discussed. A lot of times I have taken many classes earlier across. You seem to understand when you are sitting in the class everything what is being discussed, but the moment you're out of the class and on the real job, you're like, okay, but what, how do I exactly apply this into my work? When that sounded really great, but I don't know how do I do that. But throughout each of these 3 classes, I had several things which I actually could straight away go and apply to my job. And I'll talk about one particular example. In advanced business strategy class, there was one particular topic that John Fye talked about. It was about articulating value through the or building organization footprints. What it typically meant was that you should talk about certain aspects of an organization, like the revenue, the labor, the capital, market size, etc., etc. I mean, there was a model that he talked about, and how you could think about organization, how you actually can build a footprint, right? A visible footprint of an organization, which can help you understand the sector they are in, help you understand the competitive landscape, they help you understand what kind of company it is. Although it was more from understanding the overall business dynamics of a company, I kind of took that clue and tried to apply it in my organization in terms of, hey, can I actually build a footprint of my teams? Can I actually build those value articulation streams in my team where I can actually understand, how my team A is doing versus how my team is doing, or how my, let's say, region A, is performing versus region B, right? So I was actually able to relate and apply, which was pretty good. In a way, I was able to identify practical, examples of where we could advance things, where we could improve the work that we are doing in the team. And this was just one example. There are several examples, we can talk, where the focus was on practical aspects of things and how you actually can go back and apply those learnings back into your job. And I like that really a lot.
That's awesome. Stacie, is there anything that you would like to add about your courses or experience just generally before we wrap it up?
Sure. Yeah, I'll say it's our pleasure at Adunten. I hope I pronounced that right. You're thanking us in the chat. It's really fun to be here and discuss the experience. I'm going to pivot that a little bit for the concrete takeaway. One of the biggest impacts of this course has been the networking opportunities that has come as a result of it. And I would say that can be very scary sometimes, to be able to talk to different people and just be brave enough to ask more questions and then to take the effort to stay connected with them. So I would say sort of concrete takeaways. Number one, approach the course. I can't imagine anyone who's on this panel today or dialing in for more information. If you're thinking about it, just do it, first of all. But when you register and you pick the course you're going to take, that you approach it with a learner mindset, and that you are open to absorbing the information that you're bringing, that's going to be presented, and take that humble approach at it. Number two, I would reiterate what Swapnil said, the concrete facets that are going, seek the things that are going to help you solve the problems that you need to solve back in your workplace, or there's a reason you're taking the content that you're looking at. So make that content come alive and actually do something with it, which is my third recommendation, is have an accountability metric for when you go back. What will you do? By when? And how will you implement it? I had this great leadership team at the time when I came back from the course, and I was so excited. And it's really hard for me as one person to like undigest all this stuff on top of my team, to say all these great learnings that had just been bestowed upon me. But we were able to, they helped keep me accountable. They were my accountability partners. And we had a series of calls where we went through actually how we were going to implement these learnings in the organization. We had material impact in the improvement in our engagement scores. And so there was actual real impact at the end of the day from the learnings that we took back. So, you know, approach it with a humble mindset, have the key things that you're hoping to get out of it, and then have an accountable implementation plan when you leave, would be my recommendations.
Wow, I'm fabulous. Both of you, just fantastic recommendations. I mean, I have a whole list. So we're going to have a learner's mindset. We're going to be brave. We are going to, generally leverage every opportunity that we get, right? And progress, not perfection, right, Stacie? I mean, such a great thing. So I think, there's always something to learn here at DCE, and generally there are opportunities wherever you are in the world. So I think really the future is yours to make of it, and you are both an inspiration. So really, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for sharing all of your insights and, very personal look at your experience. We're so grateful. And everyone who's joined us today, thank you. And you will receive a recording of this and expanded answers to your questions, in case there was just so many in chat. So more material to come, and hopefully we will get to see you, Swapnil and Stacie, in real life real soon. But thank you for joining us virtually.
Our pleasure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.